Note that this meeting is being recorded in accordance with MCL Chapter 3820 guidelines. I must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting and to please make their presence known.
Yes, Sandra Merritt, taking for purposes of taking the minutes.
Perfect. So we'll just do roll call quickly. Just when I say your name and here. Alex Arbogiev. Eric Arbogiev. Cam Levesque.
Cam Levesque here.
Connor O'Reilly.
O'Reilly here.
Lake O'Reilly.
Lake O'Reilly here.
Flynn Cajun.
Flynn Cajun here.
Izzy Rudy, I'm here. Jaden Jeffries.
Jaden Jeffries here. Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
No worries. Luke Andre Sater.
Luke Andre here.
Maddie Boyle.
Maddie Boyle here.
Mary Steinelberg.
John, you're over there. Hey, you got a ball here?
Michaela Stamfel.
Got one coming. Yep.
Michaela Stamfel here.
Piper Hunt. I don't know if Piper's here yet. She said she might. Oh, yep. Oh,
Yep.
perfect. Megan Garthy.
Megan Garthy here.
Shalonda Grant.
Shalonda Grant here.
And then Sophie, are you officially a member?
Yeah, she is. She is.
She is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sophie Macnick.
Sophie Macnick here.
Cool. Okay. So that's that. Does someone want to make a motion to act on the minutes of April 25th, I believe it is?
I make a motion to act on the minutes of April 25th.
Anyone want to second
I
it?
second. Oh,
Oh, my bad, bro.
Okay, cool. Luke Andre seconded. So now we're just going to go down the list again. If you want to approve the minutes of the last meeting, just say yes. Cam Levesque.
Yes.
Connor O'Reilly.
Yes.
Lake O'Reilly.
Yes.
Flynn Cajun.
Yes.
Izzy Rudy, yes. Jaden Jeffries.
yes.
Luke Andre Sater.
Yes.
Maddie Boyle.
Yes.
Michaela Stamfel.
Yes.
Piper Hunt.
Yes.
Megan Garthy.
Yes.
Shalonda Grant.
Yes.
Sophie Macnick.
Yes.
Perfect. Just want to note that we do have a full commission at this point, so that's really nice. So like going through and reading all those names is like taking longer than usual, but it's kind of nice. So anyways, minutes are approved unanimously. Public comment. I think we are gonna just have the NAN project go here. Thank you for coming tonight to our meeting. I don't know much about the organization, but I'm excited to learn about what you do. And again, thank you for taking the time to be here. And yeah, we'd just take it away.
Awesome. So we have about 25 minutes. I just want to make sure I don't go too long or. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, our meeting ends at 7:30 and we just have a little bit of things for an upcoming event we need to talk about.
Okay.
So yeah, I think 20 minutes is, yeah, good.
All right, then. Well, I'm joined here by my colleague, Jill. Jill, if you want to say hi quickly.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me. So Jill is one of our peer mentors at the NAM project. I guess from our side, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the NAM project, kind of where we came from, what our model is, and what we do around mental health awareness and suicide prevention in about 60 to 65 different communities across Massachusetts. We don't currently have a huge presence on the Cape, and we would love to be more active out in your way. And Representative Diggs was nice enough to make this connection and thought it would be good to sort of bring us in and introduce us to you guys. And I want to make this as much of a back and forth as possible. So if you guys have questions at any point, please stop me. Raise your hands, use the emoji or whatever. But I really do want to, any questions that you guys have about our programming and what we're going to be talking about. But before I go on too far, the core of what we do at the NAM project to promote mental health awareness is it's a peer-to-peer program that we utilize. So what that means with our group is that we work with young adults who have lived experience with mental health that share their stories of some of the struggles they experience with mental health, but really focusing on where they found hope, where they were able to go for support, and what that support system has looked like for them. And the goal is to have these peer mentors share their stories in a classroom setting, in a youth serving community setting, kind of wherever we can. But our ultimate objective is to get young people talking about mental health in a safe and supportive environment. Can I just ask a couple questions of you all? Can I ask you kind of what your mission is and what you guys do in Barnstable and surrounding areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously we're a group that's made up of youth in the community. You know, we're all from all over the town of Barnstable. There's a lot of schools within the town of Barnstable that aren't necessarily public schools. So we kind of represent all of those, or most of them at this point, I think. And our main motto is like being the voice of the youth within the town. So we advocate for different issues that we think are facing the youth. We talk about like climate change and substance abuse and general making good decisions. We host a job fair for youth in the community. So kind of facilitating things that we think youth need. And I think definitely mental health is one of those things right now that we haven't necessarily specifically focused on. So I think that's really cool. Luke, do you have anything to add? I'm the chair of the commission. I'm Izzy, and then Luke's the vice chair. So yeah, I don't know. Luke, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think we have been actually interested in the past in sort of like expanding on suicide prevention and mental health awareness.
Right.
I don't. There is some sort of program at our school for suicide awareness and mental health awareness, but I think we've all kind of talked about it, in the past, and we all kind of came to an agreement that it's not really like it could be better, like it could be improved. So that's kind of like our stance on that, I think. But yeah, we're definitely open to it.
Awesome. So I guess we'll use this as just an introduction, and we can kind of pitch you what we normally do when we're working in schools, and see if it's something that you guys would like to bring to your community. I guess I'd just like to throw out there. So mental health is obviously a loaded term, right? We hear about it all the time. It's in the news. It's on social media. It's kind of getting bombarded at us ever since the pandemic. I would love for folks if they could unmute for a second and just tell me, like, when I throw that term out there, what does mental health mean to you, or what does it bring to mind? What does it kind of make you think of, or well, because it can be something different for a lot of different people depending on where you sit and what hat you're wearing. So I'd love to hear from you guys, in the hopes of making this a little more interactive. Just, what does mental health mean to you guys? And feel free to just unmute or throw in the chat or whatever is easiest for you guys.
I mean, I'll start it off. Oh no, go ahead, Lake. Go ahead.
I wasn't really gonna say like what it means to me. I'm just gonna say like kind of the connotations that it kind of brings up in my mind. Just like things like depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
Those are like the most common things. Like I've definitely had like a lot of anxiety, and that's kind of where it comes in for me. In terms of mental health, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for starting us off. Yeah, I mean, those are the two biggest mental health challenges we hear about. And I think by the time people are 18 years old, 25% of young folks will struggle with a mental health challenge. And those are probably the most common ones that we'll hear about. So thank you for starting us off. Anything else that brings to mind, you guys? Yeah, Shalanda.
I would like to add on to Lake, also bipolar disorder, personality disorder.
Yep. Thank you. Michaela?
I feel like mental health is just kind of like someone's like well-being that they might not speak about, and they might like hide and try to like not tell anybody, which could make it worse.
Right, because there's almost a shame or the stigma that goes around with mental health, and that's our main piece, is where we're trying to combat that stigma and that shame, so that people do feel comfortable addressing it. So thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Yeah, Madeline?
Well, going off that, I feel like a lot of people like struggle with depression and anxiety and a bunch of other things. And people are always like saying, talk about it, like it's fine, but no one ever feels like truly comfortable. So
Right.
it's like hard.
We often don't feel like we have the right language to talk about it. And that's part of bringing down the stigma and normalizing this. Representative?
I would say, you know, having a boyfriend or girlfriend break up. I think, if someone obesity or the way they look, they feel inferior, get made fun of. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that mental health creeps in. When you start getting that peer pressure of, oh, you're not doing this, but I'm doing this. I'm not as good as, or whatever. I think that plays a role.
Yeah, oftentimes it's not just one thing that leads to negative mental health outcomes. It's usually a mixture of lots of different inputs. Thank you. Flynn?
I think one thing that like goes with mental health is that like it's a big gray area to a lot of people, that like they think that, oh, they might be suffering from something when it could be something completely different, or they don't think they're going through anything when it can be kind of like dealt with or labeled and treated for.
Yeah.
It's just like hard for people to understand kind of where they are and where other people are in their different situations.
Absolutely. So a couple things there. I mean, oftentimes we don't fully have the language to talk about what we're experiencing on the inside. But also there's this phenomenon of coming up of people kind of self-diagnosing, going online and saying, I feel a certain way, and diagnosing themselves, or TikTok diagnosing, saying, oh, I can relate to that one person, and therefore I must have this diagnosis. So that can be a little bit dangerous. It should really be left to the professionals to make those diagnoses. But you're right, because there's a lack of information, we're always kind of looking for ways to define how we're feeling. Okay. Awesome. Well, again, please be, raising those hands, stopping me at any point. I'm going to tell a little bit of a background story to the NAM project and how we got off the ground, how we got started 7.5 years ago. And then I'm going to ask Jill here, one of our star peer mentors, to share her story about some of the struggles she went through. But you'll hear it's a hopeful story. It's a story that really puts out there the supports and resources she's been able to access. I will just say, I know that mental health affects a lot of folks in a lot of different ways. I'm going to be touching on the topic of suicide. And if anybody is feeling a little bit overwhelmed, please be checking in on yourself. Please be, reaching out to friends or parent and guardian, because it's kind of difficult in this virtual environment for us to be checking in on you. But we just want to make sure that as we're talking about some heavy subject matter, that you guys are checking in on yourselves. Okay. So a little bit of background to the NAM project. We started in 2016, and I started with my mom, and we're all up for, we live on the North Shore in Beverly. And the reason that we started the NAM project was back in 2012, 11 years ago, I lost my little sister, Nan, to suicide. Nan had struggled from a very young age with several mental health challenges. Initially, it was OCD. We didn't really touch on OCD, but have you guys heard of OCD? Can anyone kind of tell me what OCD is or what they've heard about that mental health diagnosis? Michaela?
I know that OCD stands for obsessive compulsory disorder.
Yeah.
And it's like when you need to do things in order to make your body like feel okay. Something kind of like that.
Yeah. Again, it can affect everyone in different ways, but sometimes you have to do certain actions to feel a certain way. Sometimes you get fixated on certain little things, and it gets in the way of doing everyday activities. Yeah, Izzy, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that sometimes people associate with OCD with kind of being like, I mean, and I don't want to be insensitive, but like tapping, their car
Mhm.
wheel like 5 times or something like that. But I have a lot of friends in my life that have OCD that's more of like an emotional fixations on things,
Yep.
and less of those like tangible, like
Right.
things like that. Yeah. So yeah, just want
Yeah,
to put that out there.
it's not always necessarily having to do a certain action. It's not always having to have things specially clean or set up a certain way, but it can be those things. Like I said, it can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and that's what can make it kind of difficult to diagnose. And it certainly was that way with my sister. Understanding OCD now as an adult, and being able to kind of look back in hindsight, there were some red flags that she was struggling with this mental health challenge, even from that young age of maybe 3rd grade, 4th grade. And for her, some of the ways that I remember seeing it and her showing it were things like in the mornings. She was the middle of my 3 youngest sisters, and in the mornings, we'd all be getting up, getting ready to go to school. And she'd wake up with like a very particular outfit that she would want to wear that day. And so maybe it was, a green Red Sox hat, a pink hoodie, blue jeans, Adidas shoes. And if she couldn't have one of those things, if she had like left her hat at her friend's house or the hoodie was in the laundry, if she couldn't have that exact outfit she woke up wanting to wear, she would get really, really upset. She'd get so frustrated. She wouldn't want to leave her room. She wouldn't want to go to school. She'd often get into a big fight with my parents. And it always kind of seemed strange to me and my other sisters. It was like, just find something else to wear. But because of her OCD, she'd get really fixated on her outfits. Another thing that I remember was dinner times. So 6 o'clock would roll around, our parents would be bringing us plates of food. And if any of the food on our plate ever touched, so if like the green beans got mixed into the mac and cheese or the chicken rolled into the applesauce, if it wasn't perfectly partitioned out on her plate, she'd again have these explosions of emotion, like way out of proportion to anything that was wrong. And she'd push her plate away, storm off from the table, another big fight with my parents. And again, me and my other sisters would be left sitting there like looking at each other. What just happened? Why does she care so much? But these, looking back, were clearly signs that she was struggling with OCD. But our family doctor kind of just put it off as it's a phase she's going through. It's something she'll outgrow. But as with most mental health challenges, it's not something that just magically goes away. And so these behaviors continued on for many years. It wasn't until she was in high school as a freshman at Hamilton Wenham Regional High School that she was finally diagnosed with OCD. And by that point, it was depression and anxiety as well. But what do you think it was like for her? Being a 13-year-old in a new high school, and then all of a sudden having this information kind of dropped on her. What do you think some of the emotions were that she felt in that moment?
She might have felt like she couldn't. It wasn't something that she could get over. Like her life was kind of crashing.
Yeah, I think it felt like a cloud that would never go away. There's nothing she could do. I mean, that's not true at all. That we know that there's lots you can do to support mental health. But I think in that moment, she felt like it was her world crashing down on her. Flynn, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, she probably felt like alone, like she kind of was like by herself in it.
Yeah. I think it can be really, really isolating to learn that you have a mental health challenge. I think she felt like, she was the only one of her friends that had depression, or when she was on playing with her soccer team, that she was the only one who dealt with anxiety on a regular basis because we don't talk a lot about it, right? I think there's also that piece of the shame that goes with the stigma around mental health. So I think she was feeling all these things and probably even a little bit afraid as well. And so her reaction to that was to really try and cover it up. She wanted to do her best to kind of hide that piece of herself from the world. And she did a pretty good job of covering it up. She got good grades throughout high school. She played on the soccer team, a couple other sports, all 4 years. She got the Spirit Award her senior year, got in the yearbook. So I think for most of her friends, her teammates, her classmates, they had no idea what she was struggling with on the inside, the mental health challenges she was facing every day, because she didn't want to let that part of her be seen. Now, the flip side was she was very uncomfortable reaching out for help. She didn't want to talk to her friends about her mental health challenges when she was having those tough days with her depression. She wasn't talking to trusted adults or going down to guidance when she was really struggling with anxiety. And by not reaching out for help, she wasn't getting the support that we know is out there for someone who struggled. She wasn't going to a therapist on a regular basis. She was very resistant to taking medication because, again, I think she felt it. If she was doing those things, she would be acknowledging these mental health challenges and putting that out there for the world. And she was doing her best to really try and cover it up. So she wasn't getting the support that she needed to be getting. And that's really what led to her mental health declining and eventually, unfortunately, to her suicide. After we lost Nan, my mother and I wanted to do something that could really change that dynamic for other young people. We want to make sure that other young people didn't have to struggle in silence, didn't have to suffer with their mental health challenge and feel that shame, that stigma. And so what we did, we sat down, we spent about 6 months kind of meeting with anybody we could sit down with, whether it was a clinician, a teacher, a young adult, a parent. We spent 6 months just taking notes and seeing what was out there for young people, and then kind of putting out there different ideas of, would this help? Would this help get that conversation started? Would this model work? And what we ended up settling on was a peer-to-peer model. And that's what we're gonna be showing you here tonight. And so what that means is we have these incredible young adults, these peer mentors who go through a pretty intensive training with us where they learn to craft stories around the struggle, but really the hope that they experience with their mental health. And then by sharing these stories, they get to create a safe space where other young people, students, can talk about mental health. Now, why do you think we decided this peer-to-peer model? Why do you think we decided to work with young adults and have them share their own stories? Yeah, Izzy.
Well, we do another peer-to-peer model, and we've seen it be super effective with another program. It's called One Love. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely, like, just with some firsthand knowledge, I think it's always better to hear it from someone your own age. Like, I remember just, being in like 4th or 5th grade and having, an old guy come in and talk to you about why you should be like not getting drunk every night. And it's just, it's not, you don't take it in. It's kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, my grandpa's telling me not to do this.
Yeah.
But if you hear it from someone that's relatable to you and, they're in your shoes, basically, I think it's definitely a lot more effective.
That's exactly it. Thank you. Michaela?
I feel like with it coming from someone your own age, you could feel like more trusted and more safe to tell them how you're feeling instead of like someone who's a couple years older than you.
Right.
And like Izzy said, like I feel like they could just be more relatable and like let you know that you're not alone and stuff like that.
Yeah, so maybe like less judgment and more relatable, and you can almost see yourself in that person or bits of yourself in that person. Representative?
Well, I lost a son also, so this is my way of being able to give back, because I'm hoping that I'm not going to be the only one that loses a loved one, but if I do, I want to be able to. I had so many people run to me and try to help me and confide in me and console me, so I want to kind of do the same thing back, so that I can ease some of the pain. Of course, it's not going to get rid of anything. It's just gonna help someone else get a little bit better and be able to deal with the issues.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, so all those things. I mean, it's about just getting the conversation going and how most effectively to get that conversation going. So that's kind of what we do at the NAM project. The goal is really, again, provide education around, this is what mental health challenges look like. This is what you can do. This is how you can support another young person in your life. We don't expect anyone to walk away from one of our presentations and be a therapist or a clinician, but we do expect you, we hope that you'll feel a little bit more empowered to reach out. And if you're recognizing their friends struggling, feel a little bit more comfortable talking to them about what they're going through and knowing where you can take that information. And so that's what we really try and do with the NAM project. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill and let Jill share her story, and then we can open it up to Q&A. So you can be thinking about questions you have either for Jill and her story more generally around the topic of mental health, or about the program and any ideas that you have for how we could spread this more down in Barnstable and the Cape in general. So without further ado, Jill, if you are good to go, please go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, Jake. Hello, everyone. My name is Jillian, but I like to go by Jill. I'm the youngest in my family and have 2 siblings. My parents got divorced when I was in 7th grade, and after the divorce, I lived with my mom, but spent a lot of time with my dad. My parents struggled to take care of me after the divorce because I became very angry, which looking back on, I feel like it was kind of justified because no one would tell me what was going on, and I was often left in the dark about things that were occurring. For many years, I spent a lot of my time in the dance studio and was on the competition team. Growing up, dancing was my passion and an escape into a world where I felt safe. I did all types of dance, but my favorite was and still is tap. Home wasn't always the safest place for me because of physical and verbal abuse that was happening in the house, so school and dance was where I could truly act like myself. Around my sophomore year of high school, I finally started to mellow out a little bit. Then I remember getting my junior year schedule and being so excited because my best friend was in every single class with me, and I had a lot of really great teachers. About a month into school, I became very sick and was in and out of the hospital because no one could figure out what was wrong. I missed almost the whole first semester of school. I was finally diagnosed with a rare type of inflammation in my stomach, and I wasn't able to keep food down and could barely keep water down. I was put on some medications and finally started to feel better. When it was time to start reintegrating back into school, I started having panic attacks on the way to school every morning. During these panic attacks, I felt like I was dying. My heart would race and I would hyperventilate. It got so bad that I just started to refuse to go to school out of the fear of having another one. My mom started to drive me to school, that way she knew I was there, but every time we got to school, I would refuse to leave the car. It became apparent that I needed some help. My mom got the school involved and I also started to see a therapist and a psychiatrist. Every day, my mom would drive me to school, and every day I would throw up just from the anxiety itself. When we got to school, either a member of the guidance department or one specific teacher, Miss Smallage, would come to my mom's car and basically coax me out of it. From there, I would try to calm down in either guidance or Miss Smallage's classroom. I spent most of my day in a state of panic, which made it very hard for me to be in a mainstream classroom, but I did my best. I went to therapy twice a week for that year and learned a lot about myself that I had never thought about before. When summer vacation came around, I couldn't have been more relieved, but it didn't last long though. Since I didn't have the structure of school and my supports that were there to keep me afloat during the day, I quickly spiraled. Instead of dealing with just my anxiety, which was hard enough to begin with, I also started to struggle with depression. I spent most of my days isolated in my room and acting on self-injurious behaviors. I hid this from both my family and my therapist out of fear. As soon as school started again and I became a senior, I quickly fell apart from the pressure of trying to manage hiding my depression, schoolwork, applying to college, and extracurriculars. I quickly became suicidal. My thoughts turned from worry thoughts to overwhelming thoughts centered around the thought, if this doesn't work out, I can always just die. One session, I finally told my therapist everything, and because of the state I was in, I was taken straight to the emergency room. I was assessed by the ER psychiatrist and deemed too unsafe to return home, so I was admitted to an adolescent inpatient facility. This just so happened to be 4 days before my 18th birthday. This then started a string of hospitalizations, one right after the other, and all of them were helpful in some way, but I just wasn't willing to change yet. During my 3rd time, my psychiatrist for that admission decided maybe a short residential stay would help, where I could stay overnight, get constant support, and learn some new coping skills. The day I was discharged from inpatient, I was admitted to a 2-week residential. I found this very helpful, but because it was only 2 weeks, as soon as I became comfortable, it was over. I returned to school and was put into a social emotional learning classroom for 1 block during the day. I was heartbroken because even though I struggled so much with going to school, I didn't want to be taken out of my mainstream classes. I managed to go back to school for just 1 week before it became too much on me, and my thoughts became very overwhelming again. My school counselor was worried about me and called my mom to come pick me up and take me back. I was readmitted to the hospital and then back to the residential afterwards. I stayed there for longer this time. When it was time to reintegrate back into school after over a month away, again, I struggled. My school was adamant about me spending more time of my day in the social emotional learning classroom. I finally agreed. I only went to one of my mainstream classes that year. Senior year did not look like what I had always imagined it would look like for me. Even during senior prom, I had a panic attack and stayed by my guidance counselor's side the whole time. With all this going on, I was still able to achieve my biggest success yet, graduating high school on time. After all that I went through, I never thought I would graduate at all, let alone with my class. Everyone cheered me on as I crossed the stage, with my school counselor and guidance counselor being the loudest. I was so happy and excited. I had a really good relationship with the therapist that I was seeing and trusted him a lot, but we both decided that I might need someone who has a little bit more expertise in my diagnoses. I started to go to a strict dialectical behavioral therapy or DBT practice in Boston, which is just a type of therapy. This was life-changing for me. I'm a person who thrives with structure, so having a strict therapy schedule comforted me. I also started trauma therapy to work through what I was going through at home and attended group therapy as well. I worked really hard to slow down the amount of times I went into an inpatient setting. Another thing that was really life-changing for me was finding something that I was passionate about. Because I had went through so much with my mental health, I really wanted to give back to the community that helped me get better. I had always wanted to be a teacher when I was younger, but knew I should use my experiences to help others. I started to go to school for psychology to become a therapist. I'm still in school, but on a little break. Before coming to the NAN project, I worked in a day program for teens as a peer mentor. I loved it and found it really rewarding, but wanted to reach a bigger audience to work on reducing the stigma of mental health. I now work as a substitute teacher and with the NAN project as a peer mentor. I still incorporate my love of dancing by dancing around my house nonstop and annoying my family with every step. I also became an auntie in 2020 to the cutest little boy who brings me so much joy and reminds me of the carefree life that I want for myself. There are still some days where I struggle a little more than others, but overall, there are more good days than bad. I'm so thankful for my team of professionals who work just as hard as I do to keep me stable. If I could give one piece of advice, it would be to reach out for help and keep reaching out for help until you get the help that you actually need. You might need to reach out more than once. It's frustrating, but it's so important. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you for sharing, Jill. So that's Jill's story, which you can see, I mean, every one of our stories just has that piece of hope at the end. And it's really meant to give anyone who's listening the understanding that if you do get the help you need, it does get better, and that there is help out there, and the supports for everyone will look a little bit different. So I'm going to pause for a second and see if you guys have any questions or feedback for either of us about anything that we've talked about so far today. Flynn?
First, thank you, Jill, for sharing your story. That was really great. I have two questions. One, is this kind of like organization like something that we would be able to implement into like putting into the youth in Barnstable with the youth commission?
We'd love to have to work with you guys to bring it into your local schools. Yeah. We don't charge for any of the programming that we do. It's just a matter of finding, those champions within the school that can help us kind of navigate the political situation. Every school is so different that we need people on the inside that can help bring us into the schools. We'd also love to do a peer mentor training on the Cape at some point so that we had a group of young adults that could share their experiences locally. And so all of our peer mentors, they go through a 4-day paid peer mentor training with us, and then they're paid to go out to all the presentations that they do. So if you'd like to be part of that, help us organize that, that would be great. The main sort of requirement is that you're outside of high school, because you need to have that perspective to be able to look back on your experience. And because of all the work we do is during the school day, so it's really difficult for someone who's still in school to also come and work with us. But if that's something that you guys would be interested in spearheading, we would absolutely love to take that up with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Gino?
Yeah, so first of all, Jake and Jill, thanks for sharing your stories. It was incredible to hear. I'm the supervisor of the school resource officers, and I work out at Barnstable High School. I can tell you firsthand that this is a program that I'm sure could benefit the town of Barnstable. One of the biggest challenges we're facing is the availability for mental health treatment, especially in times of crisis. So this is another option for that. Follow-up care and all that. I think that it's a great idea. 2 questions. Number one, what other schools are implementing the program, and how does the referral program work?
So you bring up a couple things. Yeah, so our hope is to get to young people before they're at that crisis point, to get people thinking about their mental health, thinking about different strategies and supports they can build up around themselves before they ever get to that crisis point, and get those conversations started beforehand. So we're an upstream preventative program. We are in 65 different schools, not a ton in the Southeast. We are meeting with Plymouth School District tomorrow. We've done work down at the Fall River Drop-In Center. We've worked in Brockton. But most of our programming, because we work under Elliott Community Human Services, which has a large footprint northeast of the northeast quadrant of Massachusetts, that's where most of our schools are. But yeah, I could give you, I can send you a list afterwards if you like. There's also a list on our website if you'd like to check that out. And in terms of referrals, we don't do clinical work. Our pure mission is to provide awareness, education, and hopefully just in some cases identify young people who might be struggling, but we will work with the clinical and student support staff within the school. When we're doing our presentations, we almost always have a clinician or a school counselor in the classroom with us. If a student becomes activated, they can then be seen immediately. We also encourage schools to do exit tickets. So all the students who get our presentations, they can check a box. There'll be 3 questions on the exit ticket saying, I would like to see someone immediately, I'd like to see someone in the next week, or no, I'm fine. And that also helps to identify students that might not be on student support's radar.
Thank you very much.
Izzy?
My question is, or thank you both before I go ahead. It's important to talk about people's stories, but I appreciate that you guys have, I can offer your opinions and reflections. So thank you for that. But I guess my question is more about what does an actual workshop looks like from the time a student walks into a classroom and until they leave, because
yep.
I think for us, we are all in high school, everyone on this commission is in high school, even though, we're young people, we are those people that are, in those environments. So we wouldn't be able to be the peer
yep.
Mentors, it sounds like. So is there a video? Is it someone like Jill, telling their story, and kind of then it's a model where everyone kind of discusses a story of that sort? That's my question.
Very good question. So all of our presentations are meant to be about 1 hour, so they'll fit into a typical class block. What it looks like is myself, our clinical director, or our assistant director, one of our senior staff will go in, kind of introduce do a similar introduction to kind of what I did. Say, this is kind of who we are. This is what we're going to do. Here's some safety protocols. And then we'll turn it over to 2 or 3 of our peer mentors who will share their stories. And so the idea with having a couple peer mentors is that, Jill's story might resonate with a certain group of students, whereas a young man who's more focused on, say, depression and substance use might resonate with a different group of students. So we try and have a couple different stories every time we go in. After the stories, we'll open it up to Q&A around mental health, around the stories that they've heard, and students can either raise their hand or we pass out paper so they can write down questions if they're more comfortable doing that, and we'll read out the questions. As part of that Q&A part, we make sure that we cover the most common signs of depression, what you as a peer can be on the lookout for in one of your friends or loved ones, and then what are the steps that you can take, what you can do to support that person. We also cover coping strategies, and then whatever else comes up in the Q&A with the students. So that's kind of what our standard presentation would look like. Usually we keep it to small classroom sizes. We don't like to do big auditorium. And so if we're talking about, I'm not sure how big Barnstable High School is.
Yeah, it's fairly large, I would say. I mean, we just did a One Love presentation. It was like 400. I mean, probably a little under based on like attendance that day, but it's like 300 to 400 in a class. Is that right?
In the grade, okay.
Yeah, is that
1,800
right?
students.
1,800, yeah. So we've worked in very large high schools. We work in Lowell. We've worked up in Lawrence, which are huge high schools. What it looks like in the bigger high schools is we'll try and figure out which grade it makes sense to kind of target. Where does the mental health curriculum come in, or where is it maybe lacking? And we'll try and make sure we get through all those students in a year. So maybe that's coming for 2 days first semester, 2 days second semester, doing 5 classes each day, and making sure that we get in front of all the 10th grade health students. We also do presentations at the middle school level, and we also have one that's specific for seniors, where it's about how you transition out of high school. What does it look like when you can't run down to guidance? Getting the seniors kind of thinking about, okay, whether you're going in the workforce or going off to college, you have to self-advocate a little bit more. And what does that look like? Because that's a very different process from having the supports that you currently have in high school. So those are kind of 3 different presentations we have, one for middle school, one for standard high school, and then one for seniors who are moving on. Does that answer your question? Or give you?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Good. Luke?
Hi. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your stories and, obviously bringing this to the attention of the Youth Commission. And thank you, Kip Diggs, again, for bringing these people here. I have a couple comments, and then we should probably close it off because we do have to keep talking about some stuff. But
sure.
So Barnstable actually has I don't know what to call it. I feel like it's almost like a suicide prevention like forum that they do for the students. So it's the only thing is that you can opt out of it. So this year, like, I don't know how many of you experienced that, but I got a letter that got sent home to my parents that was like, you guys are gonna get this mental health awareness this presentation, and it's run by the guidance counselors. So they came into my English class, so it was like 20 people, but that was cut in half because half the people opted out. So but I think that I think there are enough people who really care about this issue to that would really be interested in working with you guys and incorporating some of the work that you do, I think, into the program that already exists. So I would like to get in touch with you after, and maybe I can give you some names of people who I think might be interested in hearing what you have to say.
Okay, please check out thenamproject.org is our website, and if you want to contact me directly, it's just jkavanaugh@thenamproject.org.
I'm just gonna say, Mary, go ahead, and then we'll try and wrap it up soon. So Mary, go ahead. Because I know Mary was the one originally last year who was interested in bringing something like this to Barnstable. So I think if anyone, Mary should definitely be your point of contact.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, so go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I also wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your story. I unfortunately, I guess, could relate to a lot of what you talked about, but I know for regarding the suicide thing that we did, there was actually at the end it said like you should tell an adult if you're worried about, you know, what if there's like a friend or something that's struggling with suicidal thoughts or like acts of self-harm and stuff. And I ended up going to my guidance counselor and, you know, telling him that I had a friend that who was like struggling with that. So definitely, I know a couple other people also ended up like telling some adults about that. So
Excellent.
having like preventions like your group, definitely, it really, really does help. And I would really love to have more stuff regarding that in my school and all around Barnstable.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's exactly our hope, is that you guys will feel empowered to be that first step to hope for your friends and people you care about.
Thank you so much for coming.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Representative Diggs, for setting this up, and thank you for all of you for listening and joining in today. Sincerely hope we hear from you. I would put my info in the chat, but I don't think I have a chat. But please just take down my name, Jay Kavanaugh at thenamproject.org. Love to hear from you, and set up another Zoom and figure out how we can bring this programming to you guys in Barnstable.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's definitely a possibility for us to help you do that, not only like bring it to schools, but maybe like recruit other peer mentors. So yeah, we'll definitely be in contact. Maybe Mary will reach out to you and try and figure something out.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So that was really interesting. I think that's definitely something to look into next year.
Can I jump in 1 quick second, you guys?
Yeah, of course.
So, I've been hearing little bits and pieces of people saying, man, mental health is really bad. And I've been hearing it. And so, of course, all I do is I care about, you guys are our future. And I know that this group cares for everybody and wants to make sure that everybody's okay. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an opportunity, because yes, mental health, like you said, it's so many various things on mental health. But if you look in the mirror and be able to see what you are yourself, that's how you're going to be able to, oh, I need this, I need that, I need that. Because you got to love yourself to figure out kind of what you have and what everyone else maybe doesn't have, so we can lead them in the right direction. So I just thank you guys for listening to it, and I'm just here for you. That's all.
Yeah, well, it's super important. I think, there's a lot of people struggling in every community, especially young people. So yeah, we'll try and integrate it. Can definitely make a difference. Thank you, Representative. Just there, I don't think there's oh, I was like, George, what's going on? There's no easy segue from that necessarily, but I mean, we do have to talk about the youth summit, which is quickly approaching. It's next week, next Friday. So, I mean, Luke, do you kind of want to, we've talked about, what behind the scenes, what's actually going on, but do you want to talk about what's going to be happening on the day?
Sure. So before we even get into that, just because I know that there are some new members here and also people who, might not be up to speed. Let me just explain like what we do at the Youth Summit and what it is we need from all of you guys to be there for. So some of you know, I'm not going to be there for the day, but I'm helping set up the event. So that way it's going to be good and that you guys will be able to run through it smoothly. So on the day we're gonna need to know who's actually coming, so we can assign you roles that you guys will be fulfilling. And then once we figure that out, there's basically, for those of you who were there last year, you guys are just going to be in charge of the groups of seventh graders and just like taking them back and forth from the different events that we have going on at that specific event. And then we're going to need somebody who's going to be in charge of the BACC, and we're going to need someone who's in charge of the vendor fair. So I think before we even start anything, I just want to get a laydown of like who's actually planning on being at this event.
So it's May 19th, the whole day.
So, okay.
I know Lake and Mary, you guys have a music trip, something of
I
this.
don't. No.
You don't.
No.
I do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Michaela, go ahead.
I will be off Cape that entire day, so I won't be able to make it.
Okay. Anyone else know?
All right,
that
I'm
they
sorry.
will-
My dog was chewing really loudly, so I didn't want to annoy all of you with that. Can you just tell me? I need to write this down.
So
what-
Michaela won't be there and Mary won't be there so far. I think it's easier to do who won't be there, maybe. Maddie, go ahead.
Let's just do all of it.
Yeah, I have a commitment at my dance studio that I can't miss, so I won't be able to be there.
Is it during the day? So it's from like 8 until like 2:33. It's not like into the evening if that's
It's a field trip.
impacting
You can get
anyone.
excused from school, so it's not anything after school.
Yeah, it's supposed to start at 2 or 2:30, sorry. So if I left like early, then maybe I could still come for like part of the youth summit.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll I'll put that down, and then I'll talk to you later. But yeah, thank you so much anyway.
Shalonda?
Wait, hold on. Before Shalonda speaks, did Lake, did you say that you're gonna be there, or are you?
Yeah, I'll be there. I was just gonna say I can do one of the BAC or the vendor fair, like the people
Okay.
running it who are talking about.
Cool.
All right, Shalonda, please speak. Sorry.
I won't be there. I think I'm leaving for Jamaica next week.
Okay, sorry, we're not gonna have you there. Have fun. Piper.
It might be kind of obvious, but I won't be there either.
Okay, don't worry about it. All right. Connor's gonna be there. I know Connor's gonna be there.
Okay, now press the raise hand button if you will be able to be there.
I know Jaden's gonna be there. Yeah, that's probably better. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, Flynn. Izzy, you're so smart, dude. How do you even get that smart, bro? That's crazy. No way.
I'm smart for saying everyone raise their hand.
Crazy, dude. I could not even. Zoom user, that's Cam, right?
Yes.
Okay. Dude, this is just so much better. Like,
Yeah.
okay. All right, cool. So, we got all that down. So then,
Okay, so since we have, I mean, I want to say about half the people on the commission going, the people that are going, you guys we're gonna have to be in the loop. There's a lot going on the day.
yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts. We might even have like a little meeting the night before. I think like while we're setting up chairs at the BACC, right? Or we're doing that the night before, maybe.
That's a George question. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I think we need to really run through it. For people that don't know, there's people going to a speaker. There's people going to the basement of the BACC to meet with peer leaders. There's groups that split up at certain points and go in different directions. Like it's gonna get kind of.
Do you mind
confusing.
sharing can somebody give me sharing permissions so I can show the schedule that we got made?
I
And
might be able to share my screen already. Let me try.
honestly do it. And honestly, I think we should just assign
Disabled screen sharing.
um
Is anyone a host? Where's George? George?
Ooh, might not have them. Okay, okay. For now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put okay.
Okay, if you're still raising your hand because of the being able to come, you can put it down. And if you have an actual question, you can keep your hand up.
Okay. Let's start with Connor. Oh, Connor put his hand up.
I don't know who iPhone is,
Yeah.
but you can go ahead.
Oh, I think that might be me. I don't know.
Okay, Dan, you want to go ahead?
Oh, so am I still able to go to the youth summit despite being new?
For sure.
Yeah, for
Please
sure.
come.
All right.
Please.
Okay, so I'll be there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Michaela, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind everybody that this is kind of off topic, but the JP2 One Love is Tuesday. And as of right now, we don't have enough facilitators. So if you can go, please try to go. It's only from like 8 to 11:30, and then you can go back to school.
I just
please
know that
try.
the sophomores at Barnstable, we have MCAS that day.
Okay, that's fine if you like seriously can't go. I understand, but just let me know soon.
All right, cool.
Michaela, will you send me the link to the sign up sheet again? Because I will send it to the people in my club.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what we're gonna leave it at now is basically I'm gonna assign you guys will all be assigned a role. So basically, like we did last year, and if you weren't there last year, just follow along real quick. There's 4 different groups of 7th graders, like a lot of 7th graders in each group, but only 2 people lead each group. And I'm gonna pair you guys. So I'll just pair you guys, and then you guys will, with that other partner, will basically have the schedule for your group that you're leading. And when we get there on the day, you guys are gonna lead this group. You guys are just gonna follow this group of kids around like all day.
You stay with the group. The teachers you most likely will be walking around with you. Everyone will have access to the schedule. The most important thing is that 1, you keep track of your group. 2, you follow the schedule and are on time. And 3, make sure that you're communicating with me or George if anything goes awry. But the thing about the schedule is we're walking in between buildings, we're gathering people, like it's going to take some time to get people back and forth. So we need to figure out like factoring that in. Like make sure you leave on time, things of that nature. So we will make sure we get your group assignments to you and make sure that make sure all the rooms are like properly labeled on the day so that it's not super confusing. Michaela?
Oh, I didn't mean to. My head still.
No worries.
Connor's next.
Luke, I just shared the document with you, so you should be able to edit now.
Cool. I need to be able to share the screen. So other than that, I'm like I'm cool with that. I don't know if George is still at the game, but if I could share the screen.
Hold on, I'm trying to get it so you can share it for him.
All right, cool.
Oh, my mic worked?
Yeah, it works.
Sweet. All right. That's the first time.
So how the day is gonna run is we're probably all gonna get there around.
your pitch and slap it, okay?
The first event starts at like 8:30, right?
You're gonna be on.
If I can. All right. Let's see. Come on. Almost.
If you're gonna be there, we'll
So
send you.
basically, everyone should be there at like, I don't remember exactly the time we decided on, but everyone should be there at like 7:30. Like that's when all of us need to be there. And when I mean there, I mean like at BIS, like at Barnstable Intermediate School. So if any of you guys don't know where that is, it's literally right next to Barnstable High School. It's right behind it. And we're all gonna meet in the lobby. So wear your youth commission like merchandise. If you don't have it, just text me or Izzy or George.
I think you'll probably write out a little like not to-do list for the day, but kind of like an order of events and like checklist so people make sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maddie.
Sorry, I didn't hear the time we had to be there. Can you just repeat that real quick?
It's
7:30.
7:30 in the morning. So
Okay,
it's
thank
like
you.
an all day event. So it gets
Um,
from 7:30 to 2:30 basically. for all
Maddie, I also might have to leave early. Just I have like a stupid, not stupid, but it's like, like a silly senior event thing at the end of the day that I kind of want to go to. But anyway, so I might be kind of leaving at like 2 as well. So maybe what we can do is you can like hang out with me because I don't think I'm gonna be in like any specific role, but I'll probably just be running back and forth. So maybe we can do that. Luke, I don't know if you wanna.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I need to work out this
Up to you, whatever works. But I just thought,
we'll work that out once, but now that we know who's going to be there, we can at least make
yeah.
some.
I can also send an email to my dance studio and just like try and see if I can get there late and like figure that out because they'll probably be fine with it. It's only like 30 minutes late.
Just
Yeah, no worries.
Just see what you can do. Like I would really try and be there though, because I'm looking at the attendance list and we barely have enough people to get like the 4 groups covered. So
Okay, yeah, I'll
do what
make
you
it.
can do, but if you have to leave early, that's fine. Like it's not the end of the world. Okay. Well, since I can't share my screen, I'll just verbally do it. So an example. So basically, the event starts at 8:40 in the morning. So we have to be there to set up the tables. We have to be there to, kind of get everyone in a position. Like if anyone has any questions, like last minute, we're just gonna go over like the day's events, and then at 8:40 is when the kids start. That's when we'll have the groups like start moving. Like that's when the groups will start moving. And then pretty much like every hour after that, every group will be rotating like to a new station. So for those of you
How are we getting the groups together to begin with?
so that I actually don't know. So
That I was not there for that last year. I was at the BACC, so I wasn't aware of how that was working, but I'm thinking maybe they like met in the gym first. I don't know.
yeah, so
Dan?
Dan knows that answer. Dan
Oh, I was gonna say, are we gonna have it like last year when we had their advisories? Like we had 2 advisories together. And then we get them from there.
Okay. Well,
or is it a little different?
So there's like 4 hubs, I want to say they're called, and they all have beach names. So there's the Craigville hub. And then within that hub, there's 4 classrooms, like different teachers. So I think that's how it's.
Dan, I think the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes.
I remember how it was last year now.
Okay, Lake.
I think how they got like the groups together last year was they kind of I think they gave out like because there was like advisories last year, they gave the advisories like named, I think it was like lanyard sort of thing last year. And kind of like see who was in your group beforehand.
Yeah.
I
I think that what we need to do is do we know if all the classrooms like are in the same hallway kind of thing? Is that how that works?
I never went to BIS, so I'm not the right guy for that.
So
Yeah, I think
it was different when we went there, so I don't really know. Connor.
I guess I don't know.
This might be a better question for the school. Like I feel like maybe we should ask.
So I feel like we need to have someone needs to meet with like someone needs to meet with George, I guess, and go to BIS and like kind of like see what's going on there, because that way we'll like kind of have a better idea of what we're actually doing on this event. So yeah, so let me just talk about the peer leaders and the vendor fair real quick,
Yeah.
because that's something I actually do know a lot about. So the vendor fair, we have 19 clubs and sports, so a lot more than last year. And we have 6 vendors, so like Independence House, an example. So that's going to be like 25 vendors. So we're going to have a lot more people this year in the vendor fair. So I don't know if I talked to Jaden yet, but Jaden, I talked to George and Izzy, and we're going to put you in charge of the vendor fair this year. just because you've kind of been there with me for a little bit while I've been working on it. So that's your role. So I'm telling you that already. That's your role. And I'm also telling Connor right now that Connor's role is going to be doing like being in charge of the BACC. So that's your role. So me and Izzy talked about that before, and we're making you guys in charge of those things. And then pretty much everyone else will probably be either in charge of a group or they'll be helping Connor or Jaden at one of these places. So
Mhm.
that kind of separates that. The peer leaders, that has been a challenge this year. I'm not even understating that has been a challenge, because the person who runs peer leadership is not at the school right now. They haven't been meeting. So basically what we've had to do is we've had to talk to everyone in peer leadership and see if they're, first of all, willing to do it, which the answer was yes, and second of all, how many people were willing to contribute, which we're still working on. So it's this year is not an easy year to do this event. So I just want to say that, first of all, but I think we're going to be okay with peer leaders because it looks like we have enough volunteers to the point where we're going to be able to have those discussion groups that we did last year. And we have enough people who with the training experience to do it. So we're set on peer leaders for now. For this meeting, we're set on vendor fair because I'm still working out the field trip forms. So basically what I had to do was I had to meet with this guy named Mr. Case and Mr. Kaiser and then Miss Regan. And I had to make a Google form sign up for all the clubs that they did. And then I had to figure out how to get them a field trip permission slip. So I made Miss Gagnon in charge of that because Miss Gagnon's also the adult person. There's just so it should not be this hard. I don't know why this year has just been really hard to do it. But basically bottom line is I think we're going to be okay with peer leaders and the vendor fair. And then the dynamic influence and Kevin Rosario, that's taken care of. They're good to speak. So basically all we need to do now is just figure out who's in charge of which groups and where everyone's going on the actual day of the event.
I also think it's the small things. I think we need to print out a nameplate for all the all the vendors and clubs. So that's a small thing that we have to do. I think we need to make signage for the basement of the BACC so that people the different classrooms know where they're going in the basement. I think that I'm just trying to think of all the small things we need to do. We need to just add a few things to the slideshow. I know I talked to Michaela about it earlier. But just figure that out.
Too is we also, so Jaden was able to get us $200 of school merch, which was awesome.
Oh yeah, that's sick, Jaden. Thank you.
And he also got us $50 of Dunkin' Donuts gift cards from Mr. Jansen, which was awesome too. And then we also ordered the rest of the prizes. So the raffle prizes are all set for so if you've never done this event, you'll see on the day, you'll just have to see it when you're
do we have a raffle box? That's something small that we need.
I talked to George about that, but I think we will have a box. I don't know if George found the old box yet or not, but he said he'd look for it. So I'll put that down though.
Michaela, go ahead.
So yeah, we were talking today, Izzy, about the slideshow.
Yeah.
If you guys want to send me the people talking and any of the events or descriptions of anything you want on the slideshow, I can put them into cute little things and put them on the slideshow if you guys want.
Honestly, you can totally look these people up, Dynamic Influence and Kevin Rosario. Those are two people that are pretty well known, so that you can find a better description than I'll give you, online.
Dynamic Influence is that's the name of the group.
Yep.
And Kevin what?
Kevin Rosario.
So I don't know if you're shared on this
the Google Doc. I mean the Google slide.
It says you're the owner, so
yeah, Michaela's the owner.
All the information is there. I don't know if you've seen it recently, but me and Jaden added a bunch of schedule stuff on it.
Yeah, I saw those.
I saw the schedule, but I just think that it might be good to add the kind of description and maybe a photo of them or something. And then that's pretty much it. The thing that I'm kind of stressing about, Luke, is where these kids eating lunch. Like, are they going back to their classrooms? Are they sitting outside? Like, is it going to
So-
be just up to just the discretion of the teachers?
So it says on the schedule classrooms. So
Okay.
I think that's probably they'll probably go to like their advisories. Like I don't know if anyone was there last year we did it differently. So scratch that. But this year I think we're sending them back to the classrooms because last year there was a bunch of people like a bunch of kids just like eating like outside.
Yeah.
It just for some reason wasn't really like a safe idea. So we
Okay.
scratched that this year. The other thing I want to mention is the raffle cards for the actual like to get the marker and the stamp for everything for the actual raffle entering. Me and George got that done.
Cool.
So that's done.
Do we have the stamps, like the actual stamps that we need to bring?
So what I'm gonna do is I don't know if I should. So actually, speaking of signage, I mean honestly, like me and George could probably do that because like probably me and Jordan and Jaden could do that because we have like last year we provided like markers and stuff for people to make their own signs, but it'll probably be just like easier to like have the signs printed out.
Yeah.
And we also talked about getting like supplies and stuff and paper, but you know, if we just bought stamps too, like that could be easy too because
Yeah.
we use them year after year.
Yeah.
If we keep them in,
Okay.
I have no idea where we got those supplies last year though. I don't know where those were.
I think that we should maybe have another youth summit specific meeting next week.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we should definitely have like another youth commission like meeting next week, just so everyone kind of like knows what's going on.
Yeah, well, or everyone who's coming to the youth summit
Yeah,
should come to that youth summit specific meeting.
yeah, I agree.
Which I think we should do next week. So let's try and set that up. I mean, if anyone has their calendar available and is
Honestly,
coming,
let's just do next Tuesday at 6:30 again. Like, I think it would just probably be easier.
I am not in love with that, but
Okay, we'll make it work. We'll find something that can work for everyone.
okay. Yeah, so I think that's pretty, I mean, we're reaching like almost 8 here. So should we talk about anything else pressing? Or
Is there anything else about the youth summit that we need to talk about like now?
no?
Okay.
Okay, cool. On that note, does anyone have anything else to say briefly before we sum up? There's something else on the bottom of this that's like I think at the bottom of the agenda that I think we should just push till the next
Yeah, I don't.
thing, the environmental group. But Representative, do you want to talk quickly about the State House trip?
Exactly. That's what I was calling. Wanted to see what you
Well,
guys wanted to get up here. When you guys think, well, what's a good time? I'm hoping because I know the school year's gonna be ending quick. So, and you guys gonna have all kinds of stuff happening. So I don't want to, I want to try to get as many of you guys there, especially the ones that haven't been able to come the first time. So.
mhm. I know for me that the rest of May doesn't, I mean, there's stuff going on every day with like senior weeks at the end of May.
Okay.
But I've also been already, so it's not, to me, it's not like the biggest. I mean, obviously I would love to go, but don't structure it around me is what I'm saying. So what dates work for other people?
I like
Personally,
that.
I think. Oh,
Sorry, I like that I like that week from the 22nd to the 26th. I think that's a good week at least for Barnstable seniors because I know the week after is when we have all the senior festivities. Not actually the 22nd through the 25th because the 26th is prom or whatever. So I would like those days if I'm being selfishly honest, but yeah.
Like,
I think for me, like the beginning of June like would be good. I also have a lot. I'm not a senior, but I also have a lot going on towards the end of May, the rest of May. So like if we were to do the beginning of June, I think that would work well.
So it looks like for seniors, it's probably closer to May, like the end of May, and for pretty much everyone else, it's probably like in June at some point.
Oh, you finish?
No, I'm good.
I think for me and Maddie, our finals are kind of like the second week of June. So I think the last week of May there would work best for me and Maddie too.
Kip, I'll tell you the days that don't work for Barnstable seniors. I would not schedule anything on the 26th because that's the Friday, the last day of school, and that's when we have prom. Don't schedule anything for June 3rd because that's when our graduation is. So anything like before prom, like, and after the youth summit, which is what Alex said, like the week of the 22nd to the 25th would work for seniors at BHS. Any senior who's interested in coming after that though, like at some point after June 3rd.
What do you think about the 29th on a Monday? Would that be possible?
That's Memorial Day, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So that won't work. Okay.
Sorry,
good
my
call.
mic's working now. So
No, all good, George. Thank you for jumping in. Shucks. All right.
I mean, I don't want to push it out too far, but what about like the middle of June? Like, I mean, that's kind of like things are starting to settle down. I know it's like everyone's kind of already started their summer, but I feel like if we push it past the time of exams, push it past senior stuff, I feel like the middle of June. I don't know if that's too far.
Is June 13th?
Yeah, I
Like
kind of
any of those days work for me. Yeah.
For that mental health thing.
Oh, shoot, I got a mental health thing that I'm going to, so I'm out. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We'll talk about it later.
We'll work it. I mean, okay, so middle of June. So June could be better than for everybody. Is that what everyone's really saying?
Yeah, I think middle of June is better than even end of May, early June, because that's just so busy. So I think the middle of June is ideal.
Okay. All right, I'll work on that. And yeah, okay, we'll work it out. I'll email George if anything comes up sooner. But if not, we'll talk about it next week when we have another meeting.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Perfect. Okay, guys. So just so we
one more quick question. When's the last day of school?
June 16th.
Someone say it again.
June 16th, I thought.
Yep. For seniors, it's the 26th. For everyone else, I guess it's the 16th.
mine's on the 19th of May, so you know,
rubbing it in.
whatever. Yeah. But okay, so does someone want to make a motion to end the meeting? I know it's like past.
I think late.
Sorry, I just had.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just had one more thing. So I didn't see the agenda. What was the environmental thing?
Oh, there was a tweet put out by Maura Healy.
She's the
governor.
Governor.
Yeah, and she put out a tweet saying they're trying to start a group for high schoolers that aren't seniors, so freshmen through juniors who are interested in like climate action and environmental, you know, all that jazz. And so
Sounds like you, like, not even gonna lie.
yeah, so that's, I think George just kind of wanted to throw that out there for anyone that might be interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask really quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like, or if anyone's interested, reach out to me about it and I'll get you the application where you guys can apply. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. So touch base on the youth summit next week, but just be ready to get your roles and just.
What day next week do we decide the meeting? I'm sorry.
We didn't decide yet, but we'll
put
figure
in
it
the
out.
text thread.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn. Oh, go ahead, Luke.
You second it. I'll make it first and you second it that way.
Okay. Okay.
I guess you
Okay, perfect. Are we good? Did we second? I'm confused. I think we're good.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I second. My bad.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go down the list. Alex Arbogiev.
Yes.
Eric Garbagiev,
Yes.
Cam Levesque,
Yes.
Connor O'Reilly,
Yes.
Lake O'Reilly,
Yes.
Flynn Cajun,
Yes.
Izzy Rudy, yes. Jaden Jeffries,
His mic is unmuted, so yeah, that's a yes.
okay, cool. Luke Sader,
Yes.
Maddie Boyle,
Yes.
Mary Steinelber,
Yes.
Michaela Stamfel,
Yes.
Piper Hunt,
Yes.
Megan Garthy,
Yes.
Shalonda Grant, is Shalonda still here?
Shalonda is still here.
Okay. Shalonda,
Just put her down as abstain.
Oh, she said yeah. She unmuted.
Okay.
okay, cool. And Sophie Macknick.
Yes.
Cool. So unanimous. And I would just like to say everyone was at tonight's meeting, which is really great.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy, man. And there's so many people, man.
I
Like,
know. That's honestly so cool. So anyway, meeting is adjourned. I hope everyone has a good night.
thanks, guys. I know it was a long one.
Yeah. Thank you for staying. If you have any questions about the youth summit, text me, Luke, or George, and we'll be happy to answer. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.
Guys, have a
Thank
good night.
you.